Namaste. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. This is V. Premalata, Assistant Professor working in the Department of Performing Arts, Sri Venkateshwara University, Tirupati. This is a module on Bhakti and music in the paper Indian Aesthetics and Fine Arts under the subject Indian Culture. In this module, we will look into some of the aspects like the various forms of devotion or bhakti. Number 2, we will know the contribution of great saints and seers to the bhakti movement in India through music. We would also know the contribution of different religious leaders to the cultural development of the country through music. First, let us just see what is bhakti and what is its relationship with Indian music. From ancient times, bhakti and music has got a strong relationship. The bhakti movement is said to have originated in Tamil Nadu and the southern states and then spread all over India. In Hinduism, we see that there are 3 paths to attain salvation: the karma or the action, the jnana or the knowledge, the bhakti or the devotion to Lord. Among these 3, bhakti is very easy, and even in bhakti, singing, and there are different forms of bhakti, and to reach God there are different prescriptions, but still singing the Nama Sankirtana or singing the glory of Lord is very, very easy and is said to be the easiest path to reach Lord. Many composers of bhakti movement seamlessly integrated the folk and the ritualistic music, and then they have incorporated them and see that music plays an important role in spreading or in expressing devotion or bhakti. The composers, through many ages, we have evidences that they have traveled on pilgrimage to many places of ritualistic and holistic importance. They go there, sing songs, compose songs on the Lord, and they keep singing. And we also observe that the congregational singing or the main singer singing a song and a group of devotees just following him, repeating his lines, is a tradition which has been followed from a long time in India. We see that there are different stages in path of devotion like Murti Kalpana, Atma Nivedana, Darshana, Devata Sakshatkara and Sandarshana. They are all different stages in the path of devotion. We also come across that according to Bhagavata Purana, there are 9 types of expressing bhakti or devotion towards Lord. They are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam and Atma Nivedanam. Shravanam means just listening to the glory of God. Listening. Kirtanam is singing in praise of God. Smaranam, contemplating on Him, thinking of Him, just meditate. Pada Sevanam, offering prayers at His feet. Archanam, offer some kind of flowers and other things and pray God. Vandanam is saluting the Lord. Dasyam is a kind of bhakti where you move with the Lord and you associate yourself or ourselves and you want to serve Him as His servant. Sakyam refers to the friendship between the bhakta or the devotee and the Lord. And finally, there is another stage of Atma Nivedanam where you surrender ourselves entirely to Lord. Everything is God. That is a kind of bhakti expressed. There are also different ways of visualizing the Lord. That could be dasya, that is surrendering to the Lord and becoming His servant. It could be sakya, where the Lord is considered as His friend. Madhura Bhakti is another one form where the Lord is the main hero and the Paramatma Jivatma concept is mainly expressed in this Madhura Bhakti, where all the human beings or all the Nayikas or we become the beloved ones. Vatsalya is that form where we considered Lord as a child and self being a mother. And the vice versa is also seen in some cases and in some compositions like those of Shyama Shastri, where the composer becomes a child and pleads to the mother. Shanta is another way where a feeling of complete peace and happiness is seen while you are in devotion to Lord. In all these cases, you see, music is being incorporated in expressing bhakti. Now we will just have a look at the bhakti movement in different parts of India, and this is going to be a very brief note. We will have small audio clippings here and there to just express and explain how it has taken place. First, let us start with Tamil Nadu. In ancient times, it is said that there were Siddhas. They were having yogic powers and knowledgeable in arts and other sciences, including medicine and other Jyotish and all. And they originated in the first Sangam period, very, very early period. Then came the Alvars and the Nayanmars. Alvars are the Vaishnavite saints who composed the Divya Prabandham. Nalayira Divya Prabandham, it is called 4,000 hymns. Nayanmars were 63 Saivite saints, and the hymns they composed were called Tevaram, and these are sung by Oduvars. And even today we see that the Oduvars are seen singing the different Tevaram hymns in the Shiva temples. There were some other people in Tamil Nadu like Arunagirinatha, Tayumanava, Sadasiva Brahmendra, Ramalinga Swamigala, and these people, they also composed many compositions in Tamil in devotion to devoting themselves to Lord. I'll just sing a small piece of a Tevaram which was composed in the 7th century, and some of them have even now being sung in the temples, Shiva temples, during different rituals of the temple, and there are specific tunes and specific verses, the Tevaram verses, to be sung in each temple at different periods of rituals. Mangayar karasi valavar konpavai varivalai kai mada mane. This is a small Tevaram being sung by Odvars in the temple. There is another one Tevaram. Chotronai vediyan chodivanavan potronai tirundade porunda kaitola. These Tevaram hymns are in a traditional way of rendering which takes place in many of the temples. The Tirupavai compositions are also devotional hymns sung by Andal, and it is more profusely and more prominently sung during the Dhanurmasa, or the called as the Margali Tingal or the Margali month, that comes between December 15th and January 15th in many of the Vaishnava temples, and it is mainly sung in the early hours like before 6 o'clock. Now when we come to Karnataka, we see that there were two main traditions, the Veerasaiva saint, the Veerasaiva tradition, another is the Haridasa tradition. The Veerasaiva saints composed so many vachanas or poems. They were all on Lord Shiva. The Haridasa tradition consists of the singing of the Kirtanas, Shuladis, Ugabohas, Prittanamas and so on Vaishnavite gods. They are also called Devarnamas. And the Veerasaiva saints, when they composed the vachanas, they were mainly philosophical in nature and devotional. And the Haridasa compositions are very, very simple. They were mostly set in Kannada, and again they were all on Krishna and other forms of Lord Vishnu. Let us just listen to a tiny Devarnama by Purandaradasa. Govinda Ninna Namave Chanda, Govinda Ninna Namave Chanda, Govinda Ninna Namave Chanda, Govinda Ninna Namave Chanda, Govinda Ninna Namave Chanda. There are many compositions, and there were so many Dasakuta composers who had composed many number of songs, and we hear that these compositions were or even now being followed and sung in many of the temples. Let us now see to a small clipping of the Devarnama being sung at Sri Raghavendra Swami temple at Mantralayam.
Indudhara Mitra Jojo Shri Krishna Indura Vinetra Jojo Indu Kula Putra Jojo Paramatma Indira Ramana Jojo Tunga Bhava Bhanga Jojo Paramatma Ranga Kripanga Jojo Mangala Panga Jojo Mohananga Ranga Vittalane Jojo Lali Govinda Lali Kausalya Bala Shri Rama Lali Lali Muni Vanjalali Janaki Ramana Shri Rama Lali Tugire Rayara Tugire Gurugala Tugire Yatikola Tilakara Tugire Yogindra Karakamala Pujara Tugire Guru Raghavendra Kundana Mayavada Chandada Tottelo.
Next, let us look at the Andhra and Telangana region. Vachanas and poems were composed by Palkurki Somanatha at a very earlier period, and we also see that the Bhagavatam in Telugu was composed by Potana. The main hero of this region is none other than the Talapakam Annamacharya. He belonged to 15th century, who composed thousands of Sankirtanas, Padas and Prabandhas on Lord Venkateshwara. Many of them are Sringara Sankirtanas, and the Pedda Tirumalacharya and other Talapakam composers following him also had composed several Sankirtanas. We also come across Bhadrachala Ramadasa, who had sung several songs on Lord Rama of Bhadrachala. The songs or the erotic padas of On Madhura Bhakti by Kshetrajna on his favorite deity Gopala Krishna is also very prominent, and in all these compositions we see that God is visualized in many forms and in different forms. And just we will have a small clipping of an Annamacharya Kirtana followed by Bhadrachala Ramadasa Kirtana.
ఇదిగో భద్రాద్రి గౌతమి అదిగో చూడండి, ఇదిగో భద్రాద్రి గౌతమి అదిగో చూడండి. ముదముతో సీతా ముదిత లక్ష్మణులు కలిసి కొలువల రఘుపతి ఉండెడి, ఇదిగో భద్రాద్రి గౌతమి అదిగో చూడండి.
We also see that many of these compositions are even now being sung at the temples like Tirupati, the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanams, and the Bhadrachalam temple at Bhadrachalam, the Ramadasa temple, the Rama temple at Bhadrachalam. These compositions of the composers are being sung in the temples even today. Next, let us look at the Bhakti and the music activities in Kerala. As I told you in another module that Sopana Sangeetam, which started from the 9th century, dated back, we see that music was performed along the steps leading to the sanctum sanctorum of temples. It's an important form of music unique to Kerala. Krishna Karnamrita, Narayaniyam are some of the devotional creations from Kerala. Maharaja Swati Tirunal was an important composer who had composed Bhakti Manjari on Lord Padmanabha. He has also composed many kritis of the various aspects or the 9 forms of Bhakti in his compositions. He has also composed Padmanabhashtaka, which are devotional in nature. When we look at Maharashtra, this is a very serious and a devotional seat of India. We see the Varkari tradition was a religious movement in which Vithoba, Vithala was a form of Krishna worshipped in Maharashtra. Sant Jnaneshwar and Namadev are the prominent ones of this tradition who had composed hundreds of abhangs. Abhangs are the devotional pieces in Marathi, and they all portray the devotion to Lord Krishna. Shall we now listen to a small piece of an abhang? The other composers were Eknath and other composers of Maharashtra who had composed other devotional music forms in Marathi and other languages. With regard to Gujarat, Rajasthan and Sindh, we see Narsimha Mehta, the first poet of Gujarati literature who lived in the 15th century, had composed many songs in praise of Vishnu, the prominent and very popular one being Vaishnava Janato. Shall we just listen to a small clipping of Vaishnava Janato by M.S. Subbulakshmi now?
Vaishnava Janato tene kahiye je pida paraye jaane re. Vaishnava Janato tene kahiye je pida paraye jaane re. Par dukhe upakar kare to ye par dukhe उपकार करे तो ये मन अभिमान रे वैष्णव जन तो तेरे कहिए.
Mirabai is a great saint poet of Rajput princess. She belongs to Rajasthan. She was a great devotee of Krishna and has composed many bhajans in the Madhura Bhakti Bhava. Meera bhajans are very, very famous and a film has also come out in portraying her bhakti towards Krishna. Now we shall just listen to a small Meera bhajan. Meera is said to have used nearly 75 ragas in her songs. Another one, Sufi poet Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai has also composed many songs and poems in Sindhi. Though based on Islam, they were in some ways similar to the Bhakti tradition. Now coming to the Bhakti aspect from Kashmir and Punjab, we see that Lalleshwari, a Saivite poet from Kashmir, had composed poems called Lalwaks. They are the earliest known poetry in Kashmiri language. Of course, Guru Nanak and other gurus of the Sikh religion composed plenty of songs, and they are all preserved in a work which has been divided by musical settings into ragas. We see that many ragas have been handled and raginis have also been incorporated in these songs, these Sikh songs. Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh has also contributed a lot to the Bhakti and music movement in India. As we saw in the module on North Indian music, Amir Khusru was a great poet and musician who composed many forms of religious music. He also invented ragas, talas and musical instruments. Saint Ramanand of Varanasi, Banaras, he had 12 disciples, and the prominent among them was Kabir. As you all know, Kabir is meant for his dohas, and Kabir has composed hundreds of dohas in Hindi. His dohas are very simple and they are sung with great devotional fervor. Shall we just listen to a small doha of Kabir Das now?
एक डाल दो पंछी रे बैठा कौन गुरु कौन चेला ओ गुरु की करनी गुरु भरेगा, गुरु की करनी गुरु भरेगा, चेला की करनी चेला रे साधो भाई उड़ जा हंस अकेला ओ एक डाल दो पंछी रे बैठा कौन गुरु कौन चेला ओ।
The next composer being Tulsidas, he is a brilliant poet who had created Ramcharitmanas. He has also composed many devotional songs in Braj Bhasha as well as Avadi, and they also add to the Bhakti music. Vallabhacharya, a great Vaishnava saint of Allahabad, is said to have done music as a great devotional service. He selected 4 of his disciples to render this service at different times of the day. They were Kumbhanadas, Suradas, Paramanandadas and Krishnadas. Suradas was a blind poet and he is said to have lived for more than 100 years, and he is also composed about 1 lakh songs and had used nearly 75 ragas. Some Muslim saints also have composed poems on Lord Krishna like Raskan and Abdul Rahim Kankana. Let us now have a look at the contribution of Bihar, Bengal, Assam and Orissa towards music and bhakti. The masterpiece, the Gita Govinda, was composed by Jayadeva. It is also called as Ashtapadi, formed of 8 stanzas or charanas. This is considered as a greatest lyrical poem in the world and has been composed in the Madhura Bhakti Bhava. A detailed account of Jayadeva's Ashtapadi and Jayadeva will be dealt with in another module on the great composers of India. These songs of Gita Govinda have been composed in the Prabandha style with specific ragas and talas. They were the earliest musical compositions in a way which were also enacted and danced. Vidyapati of Mithila was a great composer of musical poetry who flourished in the 15th century, and Chandidasa, a Vaishnava poet of Bengal, he has also contributed a lot to the bhakti and music of Bengal. Shankaradeva was a great Vaishnava poet of Assam. He was a great devotee of Krishna. He had composed many songs, and along with his disciple Madhava Deva, he has composed Bharagitas or Varagitas and Ankya Gitas. Rama Prasad of West Bengal is also said to have composed songs in praise of Shakti, Krishna and Shiva. Very great personality is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a great Krishna worshipper who was responsible for a very popular revolution of bhakti in West Bengal region. Thus we see that bhakti has been in union with music. In other words, music was the main vehicle to express bhakti. In different periods of history, we see that many composers have lived in different parts of India and contributed a lot to the bhakti movement through music. Thus, we hope that this module has helped you to understand how bhakti and music are interrelated. In the next 2 modules, we will have a detailed description of some of the select composers of bhakti as the saint singers of India. Thank you.